All right, welcome into Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about another confounding loss, Doc Rivers failing to make adjustments, the Sixers getting out-rebounded by the Toronto Raptors, and really their offense fell flat after that first quarter. Then some buzz starting around a LeBron James trade to the Philadelphia 76ers this offseason. This is why you subscribe to the channel. Now, we start off with this really weird loss to the Raptors. A couple of things about this game. Late Sunday tip, which was really odd. They had to change the ice over from the Flyers game to the hardwood at the Wells Fargo Center. And then the Sixers, after really coming out of the gates red hot offensively, fell absolutely flat in the final three quarters of this game. And coming off that win on Friday night against the Dallas Mavericks, a very good win over a very good team, the Sixers fall to a shorthanded Toronto Raptors team. And now you're looking at the last couple of weeks really being a weird period for Philadelphia. This week, kind of an onslaught with a lot of games in a short amount of time. And the Sixers, after starting off 5-0 with James Harden, have really struggled since then. Pascal Siakam, Precious Achiuwa, very good. Nick Nurse able to make some really good adjustments for his defensive side of the Toronto Raptors against Doc Rivers. And for Philly, Embiid didn't have a good shooting night. James Harden was really up and down, 0 from deep, and after scoring 37 points in the opening frame, 51 points in the final three quarters of this ball game. Now, after the Sixers had started hot with James Harden, they fell on their faces a little bit. Some of my observations during this stretch, which I think is a little bit troubling as we get closer and closer to the playoffs, because other teams in the East are starting to put together really good stretches of basketball. Teams are really hot, like the Boston Celtics, the Brooklyn Nets, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Miami Heat. And now you have this Philadelphia team that really can't find a rhythm. There's a lack of continuity, and they're going through these stretches where you're like, what is going on with this team right now? And what I've seen, too much James Harden ISO. This is really what I didn't like about Harden when he played with the Houston Rockets. He just dribbled for like 22 of the 24 seconds in the shot clock, and everybody would just be standing idly around that three-point arc. And I don't like when players are standing around because the offense can get so stagnant. When the game gets close, I think the Sixers have shown that they're careless with the basketball. Rebounding has been an issue. The offense really just flatlining, as I talked about, and the lack of adjustments from Doc Rivers. First, when James Harden came to the team, it's like they would start off slow in the first quarter. Now they're starting off hot, and they're blowing 20-point leads any given night like it's their job. So a lot of people are talking about Doc Rivers maybe being on the hot seat. I'll tell you this right now. If the Sixers don't make it out of the first round of the playoffs, or even if they lose in the second round of the playoffs, I think Doc Rivers is going to get fired. He has come up way too short with such talented basketball teams. And you have to remember this, Daryl Morey did not hire Doc Rivers. It was Elton Brand who hired Doc Rivers. So as we get closer and closer to the playoffs, I'm looking at all of these shortcomings here, something to continue to monitor as we get closer to postseason play, because this offense, in the first 5 games, there was ball movement. There was overall player movement. I loved how James Harden was attacking, how he was really maneuvering the offense as an aggressive offensive player, but also using that vision. I was calling him a basketball savant, just like Daryl Morey, last couple of games. That has not been the case. Before we get to LeBron James, I want to ask you about your concern level with this team as we progress further and further this year. Scale it for me from 1 to 10. And while you're down there, subscribe to the channel by hitting that big red sub button. We continue to grow very, very quickly here on 76ers Now by Chat Sports as we get closer and closer to 6,000 subscribers. Let's honor Dr. J, Julius Irving. And if you want the best Sixers news and rumors right here on YouTube, hey, join the party, because we have you covered with the best Sixers coverage here on the entire internet. Now to the latest Philadelphia 76ers rumors revolving around LeBron James, maybe forcing his way via trade to the Sixers so that he can ring chase once more as he continues to compete with Michael Jordan, because we know LeBron is very sensitive about his overall legacy, and he wants to continue to chase those rings to get closer and closer to MJ's record of 6 championships. Not record, but 6 titles overall. Now, we know that things are very tricky in Los Angeles right now. That basketball team is an unmitigated disaster. They have been so porous, so bad. Russell Westbrook experiment has just not been good at all. And you're looking at a roster moving forward that isn't really set up nicely to win championships over the next couple of years. Anthony Davis is brittle. So could LeBron James, now at 37 years old, understand that, okay, I'm progressing in my NBA career. I only have a couple of prime years left. I need to chase some more rings. What are the best destinations that allow me to chase another Larry O'Brien trophy? Could it be the Philadelphia 76ers? This is something that Mannix and Howard Beck talked about on a recent podcast. They said this: the craziest thing and the craziest one in all of this, could you send LeBron James to the Sixers to play with James Harden and Joel Embiid? That coming from Howard Beck. I know there's too many guys who are going to have the ball in their hands. We're already experiencing this with the Lakers team, but Sixers general manager Daryl Morey would absolutely do it. Could you get Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle back if you're the Lakers out of that trade, and then they offload Tobias Harris and give Daryl Morey more flexibility with his payroll? I don't know. Again, folks, I'm just spitballing. I'm not making serious trade proposals here. Don't freak out. Now, a lot of you will freak out in the comment section and say, this will never happen. This channel is a joke. They talk about all of these wild rumors. Oh, yeah? Look what happened in the NFL, man. Russell Wilson gets traded to the Denver Broncos. Damn, Carson Wentz got traded to the Washington football team. Matt Ryan about to get traded. Aaron Rodgers goes back to the Packers. We saw a Deshaun Watson trade happen out of nowhere. Like, crazy things happen in professional sports because organizations become aggressive because they want to chase championships. Two things we know about LeBron and the Sixers situation involved in this. Daryl Morey is bold, and he's really hungry for his first championship as a basketball executive. And we've seen in Houston, in Philadelphia, he's really willing to do anything he has to put his team in a good position to chase a championship. And with LeBron James, long-term and the long outlook, it's never really pretty. It wasn't with Cleveland. It wasn't with Miami. It ain't good in Los Angeles. But if you bring in LeBron James and he continues to play like he did this past year, he can help you win a championship right away. I also think because of the gusto, the swagger, the confidence, the experience, he could help elevate the lack of mental fortitude that we've seen the Sixers organization operate with and come up short because of in the NBA playoffs. So in the immediacy of the moment, I think LeBron James would be able to get traded to Philadelphia. He'd elevate the game of Joel Embiid. He'd help elevate the confidence and the swagger of James Harden. And maybe because the sole focus won't be on Harden and Embiid in an NBA playoff series, especially in the half court, when both of those guys have come up short in that regard, LeBron James can really take the pressure off some of those guys and be that leader that the Sixers haven't had to finally escape the second round of the NBA playoffs. Now, would I give up Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle to do it? 37-year-old LeBron who turns 38 next December? Probably not, but I'm intrigued by the idea of LeBron playing alongside Embiid and Harden because if you win a championship next year, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Now, Charles Oakley on with Shannon Sharpe on his podcast threw this idea out there as well. I don't know what's going to happen. He may need to get out of LA. He needs a ring. He might need to leave it. Two places he could probably get it is Philadelphia or Phoenix. Now, LeBron going to Phoenix is really fascinating. I mean, he's always wanted to team up with Chris Paul, Banana Boat Boys, and Devin Booker's there, DeAndre Ayton. If they sign him to a contract extension, Mikal Bridges, I mean, you trade him away if you're Philadelphia and you get back Zaire Smith. That's an awful trade that has hindered the Sixers to a certain degree. But here's the point. LeBron can still really play, and he's having one of the best seasons of his overall career, which is crazy because he's defying father time. He's 37 years old, yet he's a leading scorer in the NBA, averaging just a shade under 30 points per game, 8 rebounds, more than 6 times, and his evolution as a shooter and offensive basketball player has been absolutely incredible. With volume, around 7 attempts per night over the last couple of months, he's connecting on nearly 36% of his three-point attempts. LeBron James can still play. The big question, how long can he play at this elite level? Now, before we get out of here, I want to tell you about a phenomenal deal on this Allen Iverson early 2000s throwback, thanks to our homies at Fanatics and Mitchell & Ness. This jersey was $130, now on sale today only for just $91. All you got to do, go to chatsports.com/Iverson. I'll put that link in the comment section as well as the description of this video. Now, you're Daryl Morey. Before we get out of here, I want to hear from you once more. Would you trade for LeBron? T for trade, P for pass. Get those votes in. Thanks for watching today's show, and don't forget to subscribe.